Marin gazed sadly at Pan Pan sleeping in the stable. Pan Pan must have endured terrible hardships while being transported to the capital, and she had been sleeping continuously since arriving at the Duke's residence. Marin was gently wiping the bloodstains from Pan Pan's fur with a wet towel, but the stains already etched into her heart were not so easily removed. Pan Pan, I'm sorry, your sister is so sorry. Her heart ached because no matter how much she apologized, it would never be enough. Just then, Marin. Gerard. Marin, whose eyes were swollen from crying, looked up at Gerard. I heard you haven't eaten anything all day? I have no appetite. Marin smiled weakly and shook her head. Since he couldn't force her to eat in this state, Gerard set down a plate of sandwiches and sat beside her. Why won't she wake up? Marin looked at the rabbit with deep worry written across her face. Gerard's gaze followed hers. I don't understand why things remain so difficult for Pan Pan. Maybe it's because she's with me. Marin spoke with tears threatening to spill over. Gerard patted her back affectionately. Pan Pan doesn't think that way. Are you certain? I can bear any pain as long as I can be by your side. If Pan Pan feels the same way about you as I do, then she would feel the same. Marin bit her pink lips slightly and shook her head with a sorrowful expression. But how can I continue watching the people I love suffer? In that case, I would rather. Gerard carefully covered her mouth with his large hand. Marin's eyes widened in surprise. He had always stopped her words, but never quite like this. You're saying the same thing as diameter. When people close to you are hurt, you try to solve the problem by pushing them away. When Marin looked at him with puzzled eyes, Gerard explained that Dia had decided to break off her engagement with the Crown Prince. Marin studied Gerard's face quietly. His high nose bridge and sculpted jawline appeared sharper than usual. While she grieved for Pan Pan, his face showed pain, as if he were suffering alongside her. She didn't care that she was being accused of being a witch. Such false accusations couldn't truly hurt her. But if her loved ones were suffering because of her, could she really continue to watch that happen? Marin gently removed the hand covering her mouth and carefully held his large hand in hers. I'm sorry. You've done nothing wrong. He gripped her hands tightly. Marin nodded, summoning what little energy remained. You're right. This was all the Emperor's fault. What a terrible person. He deserves to be punished. Marin glared in the direction of the Imperial Palace and cursed the Emperor. Gerard's lips curved upward as he watched her attempt to rally her spirits. She always scolded him about watching his words, but now she looked genuinely furious herself. How about reading to Pan Pan? Gerard offered this suggestion to help her find a way to care for Pan Pan and restore her strength. Ah. Yes, of course. I've been so lost in my sadness that nothing like this even occurred to me. I should read to her so she won't feel lonely and will have pleasant dreams. Marin stood up, her expression brightening. She felt better knowing she could do something helpful for Pan Pan. As Marin reached the door, she turned back to Gerard. Thank you, Gerard. Gerard smiled warmly at her and nodded. After Marin left the stable, Pan Pan and Gerard remained. It was hard for you, wasn't it? Pan Pan couldn't hear him since she was asleep, but he spoke sincerely. After a moment, he opened the door and stepped outside. Behind him, Pan Pan's ears twitched slightly. The Emperor frowned as he read the petition sent by the nobles, then tore it to shreds with both hands. 3 weeks had passed since the Duke's residence was sealed. As he had intended, rumors swept through the capital that the Duke of the West's fiancée was a witch. Public opinion had risen to demand that the Duke hand her over because she was dangerous. But after the Duke of the West announced his withdrawal from Western trade, support among the nobility began to crumble. Their protests were now directed not at the Duke of the West, but at him, the Emperor. What are these fools doing now? Have they all gone mad? The Prime Minister, who had delivered the noble's letter of protest, bowed deeply. Many nobles benefit from Western trade, Your Majesty. Then they should side with the Emperor and put more pressure on the Duke of the West. If the Duke of the West's fiancée were in the Emperor's hands, do you think the Duke would withdraw like this? The Emperor slammed his desk, unable to contain his fury, his face turning red. I apologize, Your Majesty. The Prime Minister bowed again. Arrest and imprison everyone who sent this petition. The Prime Minister raised his face and hurriedly objected to the Emperor's rash command. Your Majesty, that is not possible. Are you defying my orders as well? No, Your Majesty. Please look at the final page. Another sheet of paper lay beneath the torn petition. Numerous noble names were written there. It was no exaggeration to say that more than half the nobility had signed it. Ha! The Emperor let out a bitter laugh and leaned back in his chair. What is the meaning of all this? Western trade is of vital importance, Your Majesty. What do they want from me? The white-haired Prime Minister kept his mouth shut. Most of the nobles were demanding the Emperor's abdication, but he couldn't bring himself to say it aloud. The Emperor pressed his trembling fingers against his brow. This damned headache was worsening. He had thought that pressure from public opinion would allow him to manipulate the Duke of the West as he pleased. When he descended to the throne, the power of public opinion had been at his back, so he'd been confident despite knowing it was a double-edged sword. But that had been his mistake. When he threw the Duke of the West and his fiancée out as prey, the nobles had seized upon him instead. TSK. Find me a way to change the Duke of the West's mind. The Emperor spoke as if making a concession. Heat rose in the Prime Minister's blue eyes. What on earth had the Emperor been thinking when he provoked the Duke of the West? Anyone who thought about it even slightly would see it had been a dangerous gamble. In the first place, witches only existed in storybooks. He had also witnessed the Duke of the West's fiancée interacting with the monster at the hunting festival, but that alone was insufficient grounds to accuse her of witchcraft. According to widespread rumors, the creature had originally been an ordinary rabbit. Assuming the monster also had intelligence, it was perfectly reasonable for the rabbit to follow the Duke of the West's fiancée. As proof, the scholarly community studying monsters was eager to invite her for consultation. You may leave now. Yes, Your Majesty. The Prime Minister opened the door and walked out of the office with a look of disbelief. The Crown Prince was standing directly outside. Greetings, Your Highness the Crown Prince, excuse me. The normally polite Crown Prince cut him off and walked past him. Crown Prince, what are you doing? The Emperor's furious voice echoed through the closed office door. The Prime Minister hastily fled before the Emperor's anger could be redirected at him. Greetings, Your Majesty. Alsavet greeted Walt with a stern expression. I'm certain I banned you from this office. The Emperor's every word dripped with rage. I came because if I didn't, I would have no opportunity to see Your Majesty. I apologize. Alsavet's golden eyes met the Emperor's directly. Is a mere apology sufficient? Despite those harsh words, Alsavet asked the Emperor. Seriously, for the first time in his life. Why on earth did you fabricate something that doesn't exist?